Clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Hey everybody, this might be one of the craziest news stories of 2024. And yes, I know my voice sounds very crazy right now. I've been sick for a while now. I've just never really talked about it. I'm gonna try and get through it. Please ignore how wild my voice sounds. CNN, live on air, literally has released a Syrian prisoner, what they're calling it, but it was actually a man belonging to the Assad regime who was a notorious torturer. Now, we will get to all of this. We will even talk about whether or not CNN has committed a war crime, but let us react to the full clip because it's rather crazy. It comes off as CNN is doing some amazing humanitarian aid work and showing to the world how bad the Assad regime was, but really they're just freeing a prisoner who was a regime torturer. So I'm going to play the full clip, let it speak for itself, and then we will comment on all of this.
I can't tell though, it might just be a blanket, but it's the only cell that's locked.
Is he gonna shoot it?
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there? I thought I saw it move. Is someone there? Or is it just a blanket? I don't know.
I think it's someone.
Hello?
Okay, it's just moving.
Oh.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian. He tells the fighter he's from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water. My. Okay, it's water. It's water. Okay. Okay. Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Okay, so I tried to see whether or not CNN has made a comment on this. They obviously have not, probably for legal issues, but I went on to X, or Twitter, and the fact-checking has begun. You can see from Laura Cohn, you're okay, a remarkable moment as CNN's Clarissa Ward and her team find a Syrian prisoner left behind in a secret prison. Alone and unaware, the Assad regime was no more. Then you have Community Notes say, Verify, Psy, a Syrian fact-checking group, now says that this man is an Air Force intelligent First Lieutenant Salama Mohammad Salama, notorious for extortion and theft in Homs, who had been arrested due to disputes with his colleagues about profit sharing. Okay, now let's talk about the complications on whether or not this is a war crime or even a crime in general. Now, I've talked to a lot of people who are a lot smarter than I am. I did my own research into the international humanitarian laws on whether or not this is a war crime. Specifically, are you allowed to release war criminals with the full intention of them going back into circulation and doing bad things? That would be a crime. You are not allowed to do that. However, it is not a crime for CNN since they didn't have any knowledge on whether or not this prisoner was even a real prisoner or whether or not he is an actual criminal. CNN was just trying to report a story. However, it is an extremely, extremely terrible look. As you guys saw the footage, CNN was really trying to make it about themselves and not even about this supposed criminal. Or sorry, this free man who's not a criminal because he is a criminal. And again, CNN has not even made a comment on it. And when a news network does not comment on something that everybody's talking about, obviously they're just going to try and ignore it. Now, unfortunately for CNN, they've always been known as like a fake news network, or that name has always been in the same sentence as CNN. But yeah, I'm not going to necessarily call this a fake news story. It's just an over-embellished news story. In full context, it's already kind of weird that this prison was known as a secret prison, and this prison also, like, all of the prisoners were already released except for this guy. So many people are even saying this kind of looks staged. Nobody really knows. I saw a lot of people point out that this guy looks really clean, well-shaven. He looks actually pretty healthy for being a prisoner in this really secret prison hidden away from everybody. Again, I'm not buying it, but for legal issues, I'm just going to say CNN had no idea that this was going on. There's a lot of other things that are not lining up. For example, in this caption, the prisoner did not flinch when he looked up, despite claiming he had not seen sunlight in 3 months. And again, I almost feel bad laughing about this, but I have to keep reminding myself this is not a good guy. The reason why I'm laughing is because CNN is so confident in believing anything that they're reporting. Now, I actually want to defend CNN a little bit. It's not even really their fault. I would actually put the blame on this Syrian rebel group guy over here who's freeing prisoners. It's a great thing that prisoners were being freed, but to not do your total due diligence and just trust that CNN is filming all of this, I think that was a very, very bad move, and it's obviously not professional. I mean, these are rebel groups. These are not the most professional military guys, and they probably don't even have all the technology to verify on whether or not this guy is a true criminal. Now, as far as who is this guy, his name is actually Abu Hamza Salama, worked at several security checkpoints in Homs, and was involved in theft, extortion, and coercing residents into becoming informants for Assad. Local residents told the fact-checkers. He also took out civilians during the Syrian civil war in 2014 and allegedly detained and tortured young men on bogus charges, many of whom refused to pay bribes, verify the SI reported. Locals claim he was locked up in the prison where he was discovered for less than a month due to a dispute with a high-ranking officer over sharing the extorted money. So again, he was actually locked up, but he was actually a terrible guy, and the reason why he was locked up is because his buddies, who are also bad people, wanted more money. They were extorting one another and torturing one another.
You're okay.
We start to walk him outside. Thank God you are safe. Don't be afraid, the fighter says. You are free. This is the third prison they brought me to, he says. The third prison. After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky. My God, the light, he says. Oh God, there is light. My God, there is light. Okay. Stay with me, stay with me, he repeats again and again. For 3 months, I didn't know anything about my family, he says. I didn't hear anything about my children. The fighter hands him something to eat. He can barely lift it to his mouth. But his body can't handle it.
Okay, you're okay.
His captors fled during the fall of Damascus, leaving him with no food or water. That was at least 4 days ago. I'm shaking. My face is shaking, he says. The rebel tells him there's no more army, no more prisons, no more checkpoints. Are you serious, he says? Surya Harra. Syria is free, he tells him. It's the first time he has heard those words. He tells us his name is Adil Khurbal, and that officers from the much-feared Mukhabarat intelligence services took him from his home and began interrogating him about his phone. They brought me here to Damascus. They asked me about names of terrorists, he says. Did they hit you, the fighter asks. Yes, yes, he says. As a paramedic arrives, the shock sets in. There's nothing. Everything's okay. The Red Crescent is coming to help you, this man assures him. You are safe. Don't be afraid anymore. Everything you are afraid of is gone. Tens of thousands of Syrians have disappeared in Assad's prisons. Up until 15 minutes ago, Adel Khurbal was one of them. He is still petrified. Don't be afraid, the ambulance worker reassures him. Every car I got into, they blindfolded me, he says. It is the end of a very dark chapter for him and for all of Syria. But so many ghosts remain.